I've been using the ZV-E1 now for a bit, and to be honest, it's made me understand why condensing the size of cameras is quite beneficial, and I'm all about it. See, having this camera being a full frame camera with the size of the body that this camera has, with pairing it with the correct lenses for the size, is very, very nice. That, to be honest, this camera has made me contemplate getting the A7C Mark II to kind of maybe replace my A7 IV due to the size and portability, because it's quite nice to be able to have something smaller when you're out and about creating content and traveling. One of the main things that this camera has taught me is just how easy it is to travel with it, that contemplating getting a condensed setup for full frame cameras is something that I think will be so much nicer going forward. And don't get me wrong, I know having the bigger setups when it comes down to like a Sony a7S III type of body and the a7 IV is nice for certain things, but for the average person, and even content creator, especially for like YouTube where it's not heavy end professional work, really that condensed kind of type of camera is really nice. For me personally, I love shooting full frame cameras. It's just really helped me out with my creating of content that I want to do, whether it's shooting in low light or anything like that, that having APS-C size of cameras with their smaller bodies are really great, but something about full frame I just truly enjoy more. And to be honest, having a condensed body like the ZV-E1 and maybe the A7C Mark II eventually, for me has been really enticing to get. I mean, I guess the more I travel and the more I do things, because I don't want to have too much of the bulkiness. See, as much as I love my 35-150 and a7 IV type of body, comparing it to the ZV-E1, which is maybe a little bit smaller than the A7C Mark II because it doesn't have a viewfinder, it's still a big of a difference when it comes down to this camera setup to each other. Now, don't get me wrong, I love what the 35-150 can do. It's a phenomenal beast of a lens and camera combo with the a7 IV, but sometimes it really kind of hinders my ability to go out to create, because I start overthinking about how much gear I want to bring and how maybe heavy it'll be for the other things I have to do in the day, especially if I'm out and about to create content, but then also might have to do other things for myself or my business or anything like that. Which, to be honest, if I know that I'm gonna have to go do other things while I'm trying to create these videos and photos that I wanna take maybe for an everyday thing or to help myself be creative, sometimes lugging around a heavier setup like this is not the most ideal. And every time I think about it after getting the ZV-E1 when I've been traveling and even using it in Europe a lot, for how nice of condensed this setup was with a 20-70 f4 and my ZV-E1, it really made me start thinking more about how nice it is to have compact full frame cameras. Because for me, it's all about the efficiency and basically having something that is comfortable to go create and not affect my mental state of creativity. I want to feel good, I want to feel nice to be able to take photos, take out the camera, take the photos that I want to take, basically helping me, you know, get my creative juices flowing so that I'm able to improve every time that I step out to create content. And for me personally, I've noticed that I love my full frame cameras. I love the a7 IV and my a7S III, but ever since I got the ZV-E1, which a lot of people have a love and hate relationship with it, I've honestly been wanting to get the a7C Mark II for the size of it, which kind of brings me to a dilemma. Should I sell my a7 IV, since I'm choosing not to do as much photo professional jobs for people, but more of the thing that I have more of a controlled environment with, whether it's YouTube kind of content, some photo jobs here and there. But for me personally, I've noticed that my SD cards have been doing great. So it kind of makes me think like I could give up a little bit of the pro features for a smaller body to be able to use it more for an everyday style of content, as well as some professional work, which also brings a little bit of the fear that comes into that thought process of, should I really give up my dual, you know, SD cards and a little bit more of the customization? Because what if I need, you know, backup, because you never know if an SD card can fail? What if I'm traveling and my SD card finally fails? Which was my hesitation of bringing this camera with me versus my a7S III when I traveled to Europe. I wasn't sure if this was going to be able to be fine. What if like something happened to my SD card? Would I be okay with losing that footage that I can't really go remake because we're traveling and consistently going? That's something that also sets in when I start thinking about this problem. And that makes me think about what the future of compact full frame cameras could be like. Is it gonna be something like the Nikon ZF where they have one SD card, but have like the little micro SD, I believe that it has to back up things, which to be honest, that would be a nice ideal thing going forward with these compact full frame cameras. I would love to have one where I can feel secure that despite having one main SD card that it's really doing the powerhouse, that I can back it up to a micro SD where I could have a little bit of comfort and peace of mind. Which also brings me to the next thing is, with these compact cameras, I'm hoping that there's gonna be more compact zoom lenses where you're not sacrificing too much of the quality for the price point as well, so that you can have a little bit of more, I guess, space for creativity without having the over kind of size like this would be, and having it more like in this space realm, but not having to have like an f4 lens, for example. And I know that Sony's been coming out now with their kind of more compact type of G style of lenses, whether it's a 16 to 25 or the 24 to 50, which I know if that's going to be the kind of future going forward with the compact type of full frame cameras, that's probably going to be the reality of compact lenses that have an f2.8, where you have to give up some of that focal range, and I'm gonna have to make that decision for myself as well if I'm willing to do that. Since to be honest, I feel like I've been spoiled a little bit by my A7 IV and my 35 to 150 combo, because I can create so many things with one lens, and it's something that sometimes I start thinking about too much, that I don't want to replace anything like that because it's such a good lens, but I also want to have something more comfortable to bring around with me. So it brings that dilemma that is basically this video. And I guess to bring this video full circle, it's really just a thought process that I've had ever since owning the ZV-E1, and it's something that has really just made me think about a lot more about what I want for my gear. I've seen other YouTubers that have decided to sell off their other, bigger full frame cameras to get the A7C Mark II, and the ZV-E1 kind of combo, because they're content creators. Not so much anymore, I'm assuming, I guess, professional photographers and everything like that, which to a certain aspect I can relate. I feel like for myself, the A7C Mark II size and things that you can do with it, like it would be my A7 IV, but in a smaller body, seems very enticing to me ever since I started using the ZV-E1 and how good it feels on the hand. Especially because whenever I have somebody else handle the camera, when I'm having to do, some behind the scenes or stuff, especially if my wife is helping me out, it's not that big of a camera setup for her, so that she can actually hold it onto it a lot longer. As well, if I want to use some gimbal kind of type of footage or anything, makes it a little bit easier than having to bring a bigger body, which I'm hoping that in the future, this is what's going to be becoming a little bit more into the norm when it comes down to having a condensed full frame, camera body with dual SD card slot, if they can kind of figure out a way to make it work to, really kind of give us a little bit of peace of mind. And I know I've made a little bit of a question about it where people say, well, like, when's the last time that an SD card failed? But I prefer not risking it. And if you can actually make it fit, why not? But yeah, that's my thought process. This is the one thing that the ZV-E1 has taught me. It's taught me that I really do like the condensed feel of cameras. I love the full frame feeling and look of things, as well as just the condensed body, because I know I could go with Fuji or anything like that, maybe for a condensed APS-C style. But even their APS-C size of cameras that are more into with the bigger specs are not that small either. So hopefully, and this is, I guess, a hopeful thing when it comes down to with Sony, since, they do whatever they want, is that they'll bring a dual SD card condensed full frame type of camera, like how the Nikon ZF did. And that's my thought process. I'm hoping that there's just gonna be a little bit more of that aspect of cameras and lenses. So we'll see what happens. And I guess, maybe it'll make me switch sooner than later. Maybe I'll do it, soon enough to that I'll just go with the A7C Mark II, or I'll wait to something later on, but we'll see what happens. But let me know below if this is something that you've been, contemplating, or if you would get, a condensed type of full frame type of camera like the A7C Mark II, especially maybe something in the future eventually with having like a dual SD card slot, whether it's one normal size and then one micro. I would love to know your thoughts about what this could be for the future. What are you wanting to come down to from the full frame types of cameras? And as well, if you want something more condensed, or are you fine with what there is already? Make sure to leave a comment down below. We'd love to know your thoughts on that end. Yeah, so interesting to see what people will have to say. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.